I really feel that the policeman should have been fired.
CBS 2's Suzanne Lemignot is here now with Mason's story. Suzanne?
Mike Curtis Mason Jr. says a jury award has only given him partial closure because the officers are still working.
This is something that needs to be addressed, and the police should be fired. It's an epidemic, and they are getting away with it, and it needs to stop.
Curtis Mason Jr. filed a lawsuit against the city of Chicago in 2007. Mason Jr. alleged the injuries you see here were caused by Chicago police.
The police officer had to justify why they would be allowed to use the type of force it would take to fracture a man's skull. And they invented a story of Curtis behaving irrationally, threatening them, trying to assault them, and the jury saw right through it.
Mason Jr. was awarded $625,000 in compensatory damages. He says he'd give all that money back if the officers he says did this to him were taken off the streets right now.
It was a very devastating feeling. I think the message that the city is portraying to us is that policemen can do whatever they want to an individual and still have their job.
On January 13th, 2007, Mason and his then-fiancée, Kylie Johnson, were pulled over by police on the south side. Police said Johnson's rear license plate light was out. When I talked to her in 2007, she told me it was clear why she and her boyfriend were stopped.
The reason why he was pulled over is because he's African American and I'm white. And there are people in this country who don't like that. The officer told him, "Put your MFing hands behind your back." Curtis went to put his hands behind his back when the male officer, struck him.
During the beating, Mason Jr. says he was kicked in the eye, creating an orbital fracture. He needed a 2-hour operation to fix a quarter-size hole under his left eye. The Chicago Police Department did not discipline the officers. In response to this story, the spokesperson for the city's law department says the plaintiff wouldn't cooperate with the Independent Police Review Authority. IPRA will now re-examine the incident and determine if any discipline should happen.
If there were harsher measures taken towards them, it could possibly save somebody's life in the future or prevent something like this from happening again.
Well, one of Mason Jr.'s attorneys says the only way to get justice in this case was with a jury, adding the city had access to the same information during the trial as they do right now, so he and his client welcome any investigation involving the officer.